Destiny 7. I'll sleep by me. Isle of Wight, 1941. Destiny Ball was a proud mother and grandmother to her daughter Crystal's 3 adopted children, Simon, Ryan and Lily, who were sent to stay with her during the war in 1939 and adopted by Crystal earlier that same year after their birth mother died, leaving them orphaned. She knew Simon and Ryan felt lost because they were old enough to know their birth mother. Lily, on the other hand, was nearly a year old. Three years old, and too young to even remember her, so felt right at home with Crystal. Every time her brothers mentioned something about missing their mother, Lily would remind them that Crystal was their mother now. This made her feel sorry for Crystal, that only her 3-year-old daughter appreciated her and wanted to help. Even Dennis noticed and felt bad for his sister and wanted to help them all. They were all having a nice time by the pond as a family. Dennis was canoeing with Lily after hiring a canoe to take her for a ride. Destiny turned to Crystal. "You're doing a great job with the children, darling," she told her proudly. "Thanks, Mum, but I don't feel as though I've done well enough for the boys. Only Lily appreciates me," Crystal replied sadly. The boys were feeding the ducks when they ran out of bread. "Remember when Mother packed plenty of bread?" Simon asked Ryan. "Yeah, I miss her," replied Ryan, just as Dennis and Lily were coming off the canoe, and both threw the boys a look. "Crystal's our mummy now," Lily reminded them. "You need to start showing her your appreciation. It's been 2 years since you came to us." You need to start showing her your appreciation. It's been 2 years since you came to us, Dennis told them. To this, they had no reply. When they got home, Destiny and Crystal sat the boys down to chat about their feelings. They assured them they understood they were still upset about their birth mother's death, and loved them to pieces as their new mother and grandmother. "We do appreciate what Crystal's doing for us," said Simon. "We just need time to mourn our mother," said Ryan. He looked over at Lily. "Lily's too young to have known her. She was only 1 when she died." "We understand her accepting Crystal as her mother straight away," he added. Crystal looked at them. "I love you boys, so I'll give you time to mourn your birth mother's memory," she replied and hugged them. The boys appreciated being left alone for a few days, and Destiny, who'd lost both her parents as a child, stepped in to coach them in it. After 2 weeks, the boys started accepting their new lives as Crystal's children, and were as quick as Lily to accept the offer for a trip to the pond. They were keeping Lily entertained at the moment. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. There will be another one soon. Until then, thanks for watching and have us a magical time. Illyria's first mission, the sequel to the Twinkling, and the Fairyland Tale. What's it by me? After 2 years, Illyria the Fairy was busy doing her jobs around Fairyland when she received her summoning by the Fairy Council, which meant they were going to assign her first mission, as it always did every time a fairy turned 514 years old. As they always did. Exactly 2 years after their twinkling. This was that time for Illyria, as both of these events had already come to pass. Her 514th birthday and the second anniversary of her twinkling both occurred on the same day as each other. "That's my summoning," she said excitedly, and fluttered off in the direction of the offices of the Council of Fairies as fast as she could. The moment she arrived, the Grand Elder called her into his office instantly. Once she'd sat down, he assigned her on her first mission to the human world. He told her he was sending her to London, England, to help a young boy with a bully problem. "And you'll probably need to reveal yourself on this mission. Should that arise, just remove your cloaking spell," he finished off. Illyria knew it was illegal to remove her cloaking spell unless it was an emergency, and promised to only use it in an emergency. "The best of luck, Illyria," he said, before opening the gateway to the human world and guiding her through it into London. Once she was in London, it didn't take long to find the boy with the problem. She approached him just like any normal person would. "Jasper Jones?" she said to him. The boy looked up at her. "Are you talking to me, Mom?" he asked. She introduced herself to him and told him she'd been sent to help him sort out his bully problem. "Come on, Jones, fight back, you coward!" the bully called after him before punching him to the ground and jumping on him. "You there! Harry Sashini! Leave Jasper Jones alone this instant, or I'll deal with you myself," she warned him, but he didn't stop, not even to question how she knew his name. Jasper, on the other hand, was curious as to how she knew this. "Excuse me, Mom," he addressed her. "Oh, please, Jasper, drop the Mom. My name's Illyria. I'm a fairy, sent by my council to assist you with this bully," she told him. Jasper was amazed by this, but was jumped on again, which caused Illyria to bring him with her some of her fairy magic. To her with some of her fairy magic. "As I told you before, Henry Sashini, leave Jasper alone or you'll have me to deal with," she warned him again. "Listen, lady, there's no way you could be a fairy," he said to her face. He then grabbed Jasper off the floor and chucked him as high as he could, leading Illyria to reveal herself as a fairy by flying off after him to catch him in a protective bubble and guiding him back to the ground before freeing him from the bubble and placing him firmly back on his own feet. She then lifted Harry off the ground and held him an inch from her own face. She was very cross with him. "Now listen to me, you naughty boy. That little boy is in my charge while I'm here, and if there's one thing I hate is a bully. You either leave him alone, otherwise I will take you to see my council elders and let them decide what to do with you," she told him. After that telling off, she was sure he was never going to pick on Jasper or anyone ever again. So she recloaked herself and landed safely back on the ground. Both Harry and Jasper approached her. "Thanks, Illyria," said Jasper. "You're very welcome, Jasper," I can consider this my mission accomplished, once you two reconcile, she told him. Harry apologized to Jasper, and they became firm friends. She hugged Jasper, and the two boys saw her back through the gateway. As soon as she arrived, the elders congratulated her on her first successful mission, and named her the Fairy Guardian of Earth, meaning all her missions would involve going to the human world and helping children solve problems and dilemmas. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching and have a Semajical time. Right. The Odd Life of Errol Flynn. On the 25th of October 1834, Lord and Lady Flynn were proud new parents to their son, Errol, who was born under rare circumstances, which was highly unusual for the time. London was a big place to raise a child, and in years to come, they would learn just how rare and unusual the circumstances of Errol's birth were. In 1837, they were invited to witness the coronation of the new Queen of England, Victoria, which was a wonderful ceremony. In 1839, Errol was playing out on the green as they'd moved to a town outside London the year before. He was 5 years old at the time, and this was when it started becoming clear how rare and unusual the circumstances of his birth were. But not that clear yet. In September 1846, he began his education at Sherlock's, where he was chosen for Collindore House. His size was what gave it away to his teachers and classmates, as he was still the size of a 5-year-old despite being nearly 12 years old at the time. He was growing much slower than his peers, who thought it was strange. Then came his 12th birthday, and it was a wonderful celebration. Was he ever going to grow up properly? In 1850, he began his 5th year of study at Sherlock's, having been made a prefect, and had grown a few inches in the last 4 years. So he was finally as tall as his peers. They were thrilled their best classmate was their size now, and started asking his opinions. In 1852, he began his 7th and final year at Sherlock's, having been made head boy, and it became clear his own confidence was reaching its peak. He was already 18 by the date of his first student council meeting of that school year. In June 1853, he left Sherlock's and applied for a place at Cosgrove University to study business, which he began studying that September. In June 1857, he graduated with an honours degree in business and joined the staff at Flynn Industries, his father's business, which he was thrilled to join, as was Lord Flynn, to have his son on board. In 1863, he was promoted to assistant manager after just 6 years of employment, and his colleagues were very happy for him. Despite being 29 at the time of his promotion, he still looked only in his early 20s due to his slow aging. In 1864, Lord Flynn retired, leaving him in charge of the company, promoting him instantly to manager, and everyone applauded him for this promotion. In 1866, Errol met a beautiful young maiden named Louise Goddard, and the two immediately fell in love and married. In 1867, Errol became a first-time father to a daughter, Elsie. They loved her to pieces and wanted the best for her. In 1869, he became a father to their second child, a son, Jacob, who they loved to pieces and wanted the best for him also. In 1871, Lord and Lady Flynn were killed in a mugging rescue gone wrong. This meant Errol had inherited everything in the will, meaning he now owned Flynn Industries and was now Lord of Flynn Manor, and the title of Lady had transferred to Louise, and they moved into Flynn Manor and brought in a nanny to help raise their children. In 1878, they watched proudly as Elsie went off to Miss Norma's Academy for Girls for the first time, as girls were not permitted at Sherlock's at this time. "She'll be fine, dear," Louise assured him. "I know she will, honey," he replied. In 1880, it was time to see Jacob off on the train to Sherlock's for the first time. And it was an exciting time for them, as both their children were now in private education. In 1884, Errol celebrated his 50th birthday, and it was a wondrous occasion. All of this despite his still very youthful appearance. In 1886, tragedy struck, as Louise fell ill and passed away within days of falling ill, leading the family into a fit of severe depression. In 1892, Errol was running a check through his family's medical records when he learned of Louise's genetic condition, which caused her untimely demise 6 years earlier. It was a genetic defect that led to her death. In 1894, Errol celebrated his 60th birthday, and his children threw him a massive party to celebrate. In 1895, he attended the wedding of his daughter Elsie to her boyfriend Ted Smith, and it was a gorgeous ceremony. In 1896, he attended both the wedding of his son Jacob to his girlfriend Nancy Stone, and the birth of his grandson Hugo Smith, son of Elsie and Ted. He was very proud of both his children for their accomplishments. In 1898, he attended the birth of his granddaughter Jane Flynn, the daughter of his son Jacob and his wife Nancy, and really thrilled for them. In 1901, he retired from Flynn Industries, leaving his son Jacob in charge of the company. In 1904, Errol celebrated his 70th birthday, and everyone came to celebrate. It was then that Jacob noticed a grey hair, but didn't bring any attention to it. In 1912, the family witnessed the launch of the RMS Titanic, not knowing of the tragedy that was about to befall it. In 1914, Errol celebrated his 80th birthday, and he was proud to have made it through life to be an octogenarian. Even his children and grandchildren were amazed by it. This was also the year the war started. In 1918, the war ended, and he was awarded an OBE by the king at the time. He turned 84 about 3 weeks before the war ended. In 1923, he became a great-grandfather as Jane gave birth to a son named Errol after him. Although he was born out of wedlock, Errol still loved his great-grandson. In 1924, Errol Sr. celebrated his 90th birthday, and it was a glorious occasion. In 1929, businesses all over the world closed down due to a major crash in the stock market, but Flynn Industries was able to stay open somehow. In 1934, Errol Sr. celebrated his 100th birthday, and it was a marvelous occasion, as he couldn't be more grateful for his loving family. In 1939, another war broke out, and his children, grandchildren, and great-granddaughter were all drafted, whilst he moved to the countryside and took in 2 children who had been evacuated. In 1940, he began tutoring them in hopes of educating them by the end of the war. In 1945, he brought the now teenage children back to London and was asked to help restore it after the impact of the war. Over the next 7 decades, he continued to live on and amaze everyone he met. And in November 2018, he died at the ancient old age of 134 years and 2 months old. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. There will be another one soon. Until then, thanks for watching and have a Semajical time. Tales from Animalia. Welcome to Animalia. Far west of our known world lies a continent that has been left undiscovered by mankind for literally thousands of years. It is inhabited by highly advanced animals who live, work and play there. These animals have evolved over these past millennia into humanoid beings with a very highly technologically advanced civilization. Whilst animals live in harmony and work together, they all live in several different countries across Animalia, which are branched off into separate nations that suit themselves for the types of animals who live there. There's the Sky Nations, which include the countries of Swallowsland, home to the swallows, along with Swallow Airline, Animalia's international airport, Ravenna, where dwell the ravens, Parrotstan is where parrots live, along with Squawk FM, the local radio station of Animalia, Prairie, where dwell all birds of prey, and the birdhouses of Parliament, the government of Animalia, run by owls. Roostia is home of the chickens, and Cluckingham Palace, that's the royal home of King Cock and his family. Turkey is obviously the home of all turkeys, and of course Canarida, where dwell the canaries of Animalia, and not forgetting Croatia, where the crows live. In the depths of the sea lie the Aqua Nations, which include the countries of Finland, which is the primary home of all sea creatures with fins. The Dolphinicum Republic is the home of all the dolphins of Animalia, as well as the Animalia Clown Society. Wales is the home of every whale of Animalia, as well as the Whaleway network, the mass transit system of the Aqua Nations. Turtlesmania is home of all the turtles on the continent, along with the Slow Society meeting house and Slow Shell retirement home. Crocratia is the home of all the crocodiles on the continent, as well as Snapjaw's dental practice. The Sharklands is the home to every type of shark of the continent, as well as Animalia's syndicate of organized crime. And there's Ceylon, which is the home to seals and Animalia's naval reserve. And on land, there's the nations of the land, including the desert nation of Camelot, where dwell all the camels. The equine nations, which include the countries of Zebrabwe, where dwell all the zebras. The Shetlands, where dwell the ponies. And of course, Horsica, where dwell the strong horses who run the farmlands of Animalia. The Pork Nations, which include the countries of Porkistan, Hamerica, and the Potlands. At the Potlands, Baconsalona, and Sausagia. All of these countries make up the United Pork Nations and are inhabited by pigs, obviously. You will also find the National Police Force is based here. And finally, there's the Primary Nation, where members of mixed nations live, work and play. It is ruled by a very friendly lion named Leo, and he is the king of the continent. This is where you'll find everything from the finest schools and universities, Animalia General Hospital, Animalia Police Department, Animalia Fire Department, and the finest restaurant district and shopping plaza. There are many playgrounds for the children, Commander Bison's military training grounds and base, the finest theater district in the biggest national park you'll ever read about. Leo states that the crown and jewel of Animalia is their human liaison office. There are two major book publishing houses, and they are Penguin Publishing and Puffin Books. The residential lots are some of the finest to offer. So come and see what we have to offer you today. Be the first to visit this magical continent and join the fun. That's what the advertisement said, so Adam Barnsley decided to go off in search of this magical continent, only to find himself there within seconds of choosing to go there. Upon his arrival, he was greeted by King Leo, the friendly lion, who ruled all of Animalia, who welcomed him to the continent and escorted him to the human liaison office, and introduced him to the elephant in charge, Chief Liaison Officer Alpheus Trumpton. He shook hands with Adam and talked to him for a bit before raising his trunk and calling out to the entire human liaison team, and introduced them to Adam. All of them were very friendly animals. There was a lion named Free Jack, who gave him a medallion as a token of their friendship, a tiger named Tyrone Herndl, who told him where he could find the finest food and drink, giving him several restaurant menus, a turtle named Todd Shepper, who pointed him in the direction of the Animalia Grand Hotel, a place to stay while he was there, a peregrine falcon named Leah Talonsmere, who offered him a free room at her house in the city, so he wouldn't have to pay the hotel's obscene prices, a pony named Elise Hoofington, who offered free passes for every theatre and in the entertainment district, a dolphin named Dominic Flipmore, who offered him a free travel pass on the railway network, as well as free entry into the Animalia Clown Society for their comedy shows, and a gorilla named Barnaby Boomer, who gave him free access to all the zoos, farms, and the only national park in Animalia. Choosing to accept Leah's offer of a free lodging over a ridiculously priced hotel room, Adam thanked everyone for their warm welcome to their continent. Within minutes, he was settled into the guest room at Leah's house, which was posh for a peregrine falcon, he thought at first, but he soon remembered that she was a city dweller who worked for the Human Liaison Office, and a humanoid bird of prey. As his host, she took time getting to know him, his likes and dislikes, and favourite pastimes, so she could make sure to cater to him properly. He had to be home before midnight every night, but he didn't mind. After learning about her past in Peru and why she wanted to leave the country to live in the primary nation as one of them, he couldn't blame her. Her parents were killed by loan sharks when she was little, and she was forced to fend for herself, so she vowed to move out and live in harmony with city dwellers. He also felt sorry for her, that she lived on her own in this huge fancy house, no husband and no children. She thought he was sweet to feel sorry for her, and she saw it as him being more affectionate than compassionate. That she said, "You are a naughty boy, aren't you?" without even thinking. Over just the past few hours alone, the two had become very good friends. 2 hours later, Adam found himself standing on a stage with King Leo being welcomed to Animalia, as the first human to ever visit Animalia, giving purpose to the Human Liaison Office. He shook hands, paws and fins with all the good creatures of Animalia. His welcome party was interrupted by a crime wave led by loan sharks. Leah picked Adam up and carried him safely back to her house for his own with her feet, and carried him safely back to her house for his own safety. Leo was furious and ordered for the police, bears, dogs and hippos to escort the criminals to the Aqua Wing of Clausdale Prison on a life sentence without a trial. This was the first episode of the Tales from Animalia section of Semajical Story Time. There will be more to come. If you enjoyed this video though, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Until then, thanks for watching and have a Semajical time. Chromosome Z. As you may well know, we all have 23 pairs of chromosomes, which determine our genders, and certain conditions are caused by deletion or damage to or addition of extra chromosomes. The X chromosome for girls and the Y chromosome for boys. But have any of you ever heard of the Z chromosome? I didn't think so. and as such I wouldn't expect you to know what it does for people who were born with it. I'm about to tell you the story of two children, a brother and a sister, who were born with this mysterious Z chromosome. XYZ is the unisex patterning of this chromosome. Enough of the description, let's begin our tale. Our tale begins on the 21st of June 1992, and Lucy Branston had just given birth to a daughter who she named Ella, and she loved her very much, as did her husband Peter. "Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Branston, you have a beautiful baby daughter," said the nurse. Dr. Jones came in from the lab. "There's something you may find interesting about your daughter, Mr. and Mrs. Branston," he told them as he showed them the results of a DNA test they ran on Ella to determine her gender. They knew she was a girl, but no ordinary girl, as they had discovered a mysterious chromosome which altered her chromosome pattern, so it read XYZ, which baffled everyone. "A Z chromosome?" said Lucy and Peter inquisitively, as they'd never heard of it. It was characterized as half female and half female, which they determined to mean it could generate the same way for boys and girls. This meant Ella was very special in ways they'd find out as she grew up. Over the next year, Ella developed at an unusual rate for a baby, and by the age of 1, she developed a full understanding of right and wrong. That summer, Lucy fell pregnant with another baby, and they were all excited about it. By spring 1994, they welcomed their son, Oliver, to the world. And to their surprise, he was also born with a Z chromosome, thus meaning he was as mysterious as Ella, as they had no idea what else the Z chromosome meant. When Ella turned 5, they discovered what the Z chromosome meant in her case, as she found herself wanting a biscuit, but couldn't reach the biscuit tin. So she stood on tiptoe to try to get it down. As she did this, she suddenly found herself hovering high enough to reach it. So she took off the lid and took out a biscuit, replaced the lid, and flew back to the ground. This amazed both Lucy and Peter to learn their daughter could fly, as a result of the Z chromosome. But what could Oliver do? They weren't going to know that until he was at least 5 years old. It actually took Oliver until he was 7 to learn how special having the Z chromosome made him. As he was out watering the plants one day in July, and he suddenly collapsed in the flower bed, only to find himself popping out of the sea moments later. As he dried himself down, he realized he was standing there without any clothes on, so he wrapped himself in a beach towel. "How did I get here?" he asked himself as he dressed in the changing room of a clothes store minutes later, before paying for the clothes with money he'd found in the street. As he left the shop, he was spotted by a teenage girl who looked like a younger version of Lucy. "Are you all right there, little boy?" she asked as he approached her. "Not really," he replied. "Aren't you sweet? My name's Lucy Donovan." "What might yours be?" said the girl. "I'm Oliver Branston," replied Oliver, staring at her. "Mum, what's going on? Where am I, and what year is this?" he asked her all at once. "Slow down there, kitten," said Lucy. Oliver stopped. "What do you mean, Mum?" "No, what do you mean, Mum?" asked Lucy. "Come on, you're my mum, silly. Peter Branston's my dad, and Ella Branston's my older sister," Oliver told her. Lucy stared at him. "Actually, Oliver, I'm only 16. You're in London. It's 1975. I'm not married. And Pete Branston... To married to Pete Branston, and we don't have any kids," she told him. The shock of learning he'd time-traveled to 1975 sent him into a shock big enough to collapse again, and he woke up in his own back garden in 2001. With present-day Lucy, Peter, and Ella sitting around him. As he sat up, Ella placed him back on the cushion. "You gave us quite a shock there, kitten," she said gently. "Sorry," said Oliver. "Don't be silly, son," said Peter. "I discovered what makes me so special with this egg chromosome," he told them. "What can you do, kitten?" asked Lucy. "You're not going to believe this, but I can time travel," he told them. Dun dun dun! They all stared at him for a moment. "What do you mean you can time travel?" asked Peter. "Remember when I passed out just now?" said Oliver. "Yes," said Lucy. "I happened to wake up in 1975, he told them. After he finished telling them how he'd been to 1975 and met a teenage Lucy, they were shocked. "Don't worry, you can't change the course of time. It's fixed," he told them. This was a relief, as it meant their family was destined to happen no matter what. "We know you can travel back in time, but can you go forward as well?" asked Ella. "I can't see how that would work. The future hasn't happened yet," he replied. 3 minutes later, Oliver was walking down the street. As Oliver was walking down the street, he swayed on the spot and collapsed, only to find himself on all fours in the changing room of a clothes shop. He stood up and put on his new clothes, paid for them, and left the shop. As he entered the street, he saw a boy being chased by bullies, so he went after them, but never reached them. It was then that Ella came swooping down to fly the boy to safety. A hand touched him on the shoulder. "You can't do anything different, Oliver," said a voice. Oliver looked up into the eyes of a young man of around 19. "Who are you?" he asked. "I'm you from the future," replied the young man. "How far in the future are you from?" asked Oliver. 12 years, replied future Oliver. "You're me from the year 2013? asked Oliver. "That's right. It doesn't look much different than now. Oh, and we can go to any past or future date on our family timeline," future Oliver told him. "Whoa," said young Oliver. Future Oliver then began swaying and collapsed, disappearing before he hit the ground. "Okay," said Oliver. This was the first episode of the Zetaverse segments of Semajical Story Time. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Until next time, thanks for watching and have a Semajical time. Aunt Crystal. Isle of Wight, 1943. Crystal Ball was the proud daughter of Destiny, sister of Dennis, and adopted mother of Simon, Ryan, and Lily Ball. She was also the proud sister-in-law of Dennis's wife Mitzi, and aunt to their daughter Sandra, her 3-month-old niece, who she loved to pieces. This made Simon and Ryan jealous because they weren't getting enough attention. But Lily didn't mind being on her own, as she understood Sandra required round-the-clock care. By this time, Simon was 10 and Ryan was 8, and should have understood about it from 4 years before. It was Crystal who caught them trying to hurt her while Lily tried to shield her from their wrath. "Stop it, you two! Leave her alone!" Lily screamed at them. She intervened with the help of Dennis and Mitzi, who were furious with the boys for their behavior. Destiny took hold of Lily whilst Crystal disciplined her sons. She dragged them up to their room and grounded them for 2 weeks each. "But Mother, that's not fair," complained Simon. "It's very fair, young man. What's not fair, however, is the fact you think it's okay to behave this way just because of Sandra. She's a baby, for goodness sake. On top of that, she's your cousin," she scolded. "It's her fault she's here. We didn't want a cousin," said Ryan. "Don't talk such rubbish. How could it possibly be Sandra's fault? You two are jealous of her because she's here," she scolded. "Well, she is getting all the attention," said Simon. "Enough of that. Sandra's a baby. She needs round-the-clock care." The boys went silent. They knew they'd behaved badly about this, and it was their fault. Crystal was able to get them to apologize to Dennis and Missy for their behavior, but when they tried getting apologies for Sandra, the boys laughed and said, "She's a baby, so she wouldn't understand it." This got them the cross arms from Destiny, Crystal, Dennis, Mitzi, and Lily, letting them know that nobody, including their own little sister, was taking their attitude. "Boys, don't start with that attitude again," Crystal warned them. Lily came and stood by her. Ryan smiled cheekily at her. "What are you going to do, Lily? Cute us?" Before anybody could stop her, Lily had smacked both boys in the lips. "Don't you give me any of that lip, misters," she scolded them. Destiny restrained her before she could hit them again. Everybody was shocked by her display of violence. Destiny sat Lily on the kitchen side. Crystal came over. "That was very naughty, Lily. I'm very disappointed in you. Smacking your brothers like that was a very poor example to set for Sandra," she told her gently. As it was her first account of naughtiness. She got her down and pointed to the stairs. "Go to your room and think about what you've done," she told her. Simon stepped in. "Wait a minute, Mother. She busted our lips because Ryan got lippy with her after we refused to apologize to little Sandy here," he told her, getting Lily off the hook. Ryan was holding Sandra at the moment. "Besides, the way she told us off was cute," added Ryan. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Until next time, thanks for watching and have a Semajical time. Return to Fairyland, the sequel to Illyria's first mission. After 10 years' service to the Fairy Council in the human world, helping children with problems such as bullying, it was time for Illyria the fairy to return home to Fairyland. She was already prepared to step through the gateway into the Fairy Council offices, so she said her final goodbyes and stepped back through the gateway into the offices, where the elders were waiting for her. As she emerged, they greeted her warmly. She was soon in the Grand Elder's office, being registered back into Fairyland. "You are Illyria the fairy?" he asked. "Yes, sir," she replied. "Daughter of Sirius and Starla?" he asked. "Yes, sir," she replied. "Born in the year 1000 of Council Era?" he asked. "Yes, sir," she replied. "Received the Twinkling in the year 1512 of Council Era?" "Yes, sir," she replied. "Left for your mission to the human world 10 years ago?" he asked. "Yes, sir," she replied. "So that makes you 524 years old now?" he asks. "Yes, sir," she replied. "Welcome home, Illyria," he said as she signed her fairy signature on the register. "Thank you, sir," said Illyria, saluting the Grand Elder and leaving the council offices, and heading back into Central Fairyland, where she was welcomed warmly home by all her friends and family, who were really pleased to have her back among them. Sirius and Starla were happiest of all to have their daughter home, and threw a welcome party for her, which lasted until well into the night. Next morning, Illyria went out in search of a job and was offered positions by every employer in Fairyland, including the Fairy Council themselves. In the end, she settled for a teaching job at Fairyland Primary School, where she excelled herself as a child. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. There will be another one soon. Until then, thanks for watching and have a Semajical time. The Immortal Merlin. In 1019 AD, Merlin, the powerful wizard, was busy concocting a potion to show his students at Morrowind's School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, as he was due to oversee the General Certificate in Magical Education examination for that year's 5th year class, who were expected at their practical exam in Potions class. "My students need to pass this exam with a triple gold grade to get into the advanced course in this subject," he said. He took a drink of his strength draught to gain more strength. He had elixirs for everything in his storage room. As he finished up, he was ambushed by rebellious students and was nearly killed by them, but escaped death by way of his strengthening elixir. "That was a very stupid thing to do," he scolded them and took them to see the headmaster, who expelled them on the spot. Fast forward 1,000 years, and Merlin was still alive and well thanks to his life extension elixir, which he drank so much it had made him immortal. He was now in overall charge of Misty City Guild of Magic as their Grand Master. It was he who was in charge of detecting magic in children, in the non-magical world especially, and bringing them in for the test of admittance to determine how magical they are and assign them to one of the 4 schools of magic in the city, Morrowind being the most popular one. As he sat on his own throne in the head office, Guildmaster Turner brought a new arrival to see him. "Who do we have here, Master Turner?" he asked. "This is Apple Jones, Grand Master. We just detected a strong force of magic in her blood," he replied. Upon hearing this, Merlin put Apple through the test of admittance and was astounded by her magical prowess. "Apple, my dear girl, you are clearly magical enough to belong to Mississippi Guild of Magic," he told her, and performed her inauguration into the guild personally, and then took her to be selected by one of the 4 schools. She hoped for a place at Morrowind, but was eventually chosen by the Merlin Academy of Magic, which was set up by Merlin himself, and he wanted to train her at his own school, which was located to the far west of the city. You are very privileged to be getting taught at my school, Apple. Your first of 8 years starts on the 3rd of September, he told her proudly. That's it for this one, guys. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment, share and subscribe. There will be another one soon. Until then, thanks for watching and have a magical time. Hi guys, and welcome back to Semajical Story Time and the Urban Legends category of that series. Now, this is the 4th installment of the Urban Legends category. And which story have I got for you this time round? It's only going to be one story, which is why I said which story. But which story is it going to be? Well, here it comes. Crushed by a steamroller. Okay. Now, this story takes us back to 1996, I believe, when a man on a construction site, he was a construction site foreman, I think, he was doing his work on the construction site, making sure everything was running smoothly, which it was, except for one thing. A steamroller was coming his way, and he didn't see it. So, the steamroller get this, the steamroller drove over him, flattening him to the floor. And when they realised what had happened, they went to see if he was alright. Of course, they had to call an ambulance to the scene of the accident. Now, you would normally expect someone to be dead, done and dusted, dead, after being flattened by a steamroller. But, well, this man, against all odds and very luckily, survived the accident and lived to tell the tale. Now, before you go putting your comments in saying, but this can't possibly be true, you can't survive being crushed by a steamroller, I hate to burst your bubble on this, guys, but what I've just told you did actually happen. The man in question really was flattened by a steamroller and did survive. This is his story I'm retelling. Now, of course, I'm keeping his name quiet for protective reasons. And you can hear this story as part of Biography Channel's Urban Legends series. It's in the first season of that show. And that's where I'm actually retelling the story from. So we can put a thumbs up for that being a true story. Yeah. Then that's it for this episode, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Until next time, thanks for watching and have a Semajical time. Hi guys, and welcome to the next installment of Stories from My Life, the category of Semajical Story Time, where I share stories from my life. Now, the story I want to share with you today or more appropriately tonight, is one from recent years. As a matter of fact, this story dates back 3 years. I think you know where this is going. The year that never was. Now, the story dates back to the onset of the pandemic here in the UK, and this is after our hypocritical government has slapped the lockdowns on us. And, well, this is when 2020 became the year that never was, because we all had to self-isolate. Yes, and in self-isolation, I just remember feeling all this down in the dumps feeling. I'm sure lots of us did. And I ended up taking a trip to Isolation Land. What's Isolation Land? Well, it's this land where nothing happens, you don't see anyone, and you're locked right into your own personal box prison, where all you have to do was try and imagine your own stories and stuff like that, and try to keep yourself from going crazy. Now, because you couldn't see anyone in Isolation Land, you didn't know if there were any neighbours all around you, because you had to keep your distance. And all you would hear on a bullhorn is, "Social distancing! Social distancing!" Yeah, the social distance demon was the one keeping us in these boxes, right? And my social distance demon guard was sitting right in front of the door to my little box. And inside, on a speaker, right close to my only good and hearing ear, loud enough to burst the drum in it, I kept hearing the blaring sound of the social distance demons all around this isolated world. Now, when my guard had fallen asleep, I snuck out the back door of my box, and to my utter amazement, saw a whole neighborhood of grey buildings or boxes, each containing another self-isolating citizen. And then, what do we all see on our screens but the Prime Minister of the time? We'll call him Embarrass Johnson, partying after telling us to stay inside. By this time, Christmas had rolled round. And after spending a whole year in Isolation Land, it was time for us to be catapulted back to reality. So this is when we all woke up, and it hit me hard that we were still in Isolation Land, but we were now in protective bubbles. Support bubbles, where only our families were allowed in. Now, of course, guys, the thing about Isolation Land was an exaggeration, but the part about us having to self-isolate during that time, that was real, as I'm sure you'll know. You've got to exaggerate these things sometimes in order to make them entertaining. So that's where I thought of the social distance demon. Or demons. Because in real life for us, 2020 was a year of hell. So, 2021 wasn't much better. We were in and out of lockdowns then as well. But But the year that never was the name of this story. We've done that. We're not going to get into the years that followed. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Until the next one, thanks for watching and have us a magical time. Hey guys, and welcome to a new category of Semajical Story Time. This is for the Midhampton Tales stories, tales set in my fictional Midhampton, and it's for the Midhampton universe of Plotagon Plotagon stories I'm telling. Midhampton's Tales from the Past. And the first story in that range is Terrible 2. So here we go. It was a normal Monday in Midhampton, and Lily was at nursery school, which she really enjoyed, as there was lots to do. The trouble was she was only 2 at the time this story takes place, and if she wanted to do something she couldn't because it was a 2-person activity, she'd push one child out of the way so she could join in. She knew this was naughty and selfish, but she did it anyway. Just because she'd never been caught doing this didn't mean she wouldn't, as she was about to find out, as one of the teachers was watching to see if she could spot trouble. She saw Lily go over to where 2 children were playing noughts and crosses and asked if she could join them. "Sorry, it's a 2-player game," said a boy called Finley. Upon hearing this, Lily shoved him aside and took his place. "Oh, no you don't, you bad child!" she scolded and ran over to remove Lily from the game. "You are going in the corner, missy. That was very naughty of you." She scolded and put her in the corner. She lowered to Lily's eye level. "Lily, what you did just now was very naughty and selfish. You do not push in and take over during a game of noughts and crosses. You will sit here for 2 minutes," she told her firmly. The teacher's name was Wilma Frost, and she didn't tolerate naughty behavior from any child in her group. And this included Lily, as she knew perfectly well. Later that afternoon, while she was playing Snap with Roscoe, she was caught hiding cards up her sleeve, which got her pulled out of the game for cheating. Romana was not happy. "What did you think you were doing, Lily? Hiding cards up your sleeve is cheating," she scolded. "No," replied Lily. "Yes, it is." "And what have we told you about cheating?" Romana demanded. "No cheating because it's naughty," replied Lily. "Exactly, and you've been naughty so you can't play anymore," shouted Romana. Millie gave her the look. "Romana, don't shout at your sister," she told her. "But Mum, she just cheated at Snap. She was hiding cards up her sleeves," Romana told her in a whiny voice. Millie put Lily in timeout for cheating at a card game. Honestly, Lily, I don't know what's got into you. Why are you being so naughty? She said out of concern. And that was the first story of Midhampton Tales from the Past. Now, in the title of the video, when you see it up, I'm just going to shorten the title to Tales from the Past, but that is it for the first installment of these. When another one pops up, that, yeah, will be it. So until then, if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and have a Semajical time. Hey guys, and welcome back to the Destinyverse section of Semajical Story Time. And it is now time to get into the next installment of that universe, and that shall be Lily, spun off from Crystal. Isle of Wight, 1945. Lily Ball was the youngest of 3 children adopted by Crystal Ball during the Second World War. As her only daughter, she was adopted along with her 2 older brothers Simon and Ryan in 1941, after their birth mother was killed in the war. After having been placed in Crystal's care as a baby in 1939, it had been 6 years since then, and 4 years since their adoption. She was now a very beautiful and happy 7-year-old, with long silky black hair and brilliant blue eyes, and was doing really well in school. The war was now over, and there were plans for moving back to London in a couple of years. At this point, she was playing happily with her brothers Simon and Ryan in their games room. On top of all that, she was so proud of Simon for getting accepted into Sherlock's that summer, just as the war was drawing to a close, and he was 11 and ready to attend. That was until one day when tragedy struck as Ryan fell seriously ill with polio and had to be sent away for treatment. Lily was really upset by this outcome and began really worrying her 10-year-old brother was going to die. Destiny, Crystal, Dennis, and Simon tried to comfort her, but this proved impossible, as she was so cut up about it she couldn't even eat or sleep. Crystal was sitting with her, trying to comfort her, but she couldn't help bursting into tears over her terminally ill son. Even Mitzi couldn't help. Hard as she tried, she was unsuccessful. Sandra, their 2-year-old cousin, was growing more worried about her every time she saw her in floods of tears. Simon, although upset about his brother's illness, was trying to be strong for him by spending lots of time with Lily, telling her stories, taking her for walks around the pond, and building sandcastles with her at the beach. But even he couldn't keep it together. Then, one day, they received the worst news in the world. Ryan had unfortunately lost his battle with polio and passed away, which devastated everyone. especially Lily, who had the feeling they were going to lose him anyway. She was so upset she couldn't walk past his room without crying afterwards. At the funeral, they all got up and said something lovely about him, but Lily couldn't bear to read hers. So the vicar read it for her and teared up because of all the lovely things she said about him. Crystal was so touched by Lily's lovely eulogy, she picked her up and hugged her tightly. Even Simon thought it was special enough to deserve a massive hug. Ryan would be so proud of you, he told her. Destiny was really proud of her. You are just so very sweet, baby, she told her lovingly before joining in the family hug. Now I realise this is a sad installment towards the end, but if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching and have a Semajical time. Hi guys, and welcome back to the Fairyland Tales segment of Semajical Story Time, where it is now time to get into the 5th mainline installment of that series, and it is of course called Illyria Finds Out. And it's a prequel to Illyria's preparation course. Illyria was a young fairy of 450 years old, who loved to help out wherever she could. As she was still only an adolescent fairy, she was too young to hold a permanent day job in Fairyland, but she was just old enough to hold a part-time position, which was a sitter for fairy babies, and she just adored all the fairy babies, or as they were commonly known, twinklets. She looked after on a weekly basis. She enjoyed twinklet sitting so much because it reminded her of when she had been a twinklet and used to be watched by Princess Swirly, who likewise loved sitting for her back then. And now she, that is to say Illyria, was now sitter to her twinklets, and just loved every moment of it. She'd go to the palace once a week after school to sit for the royal twinklets, Cosmic and Sonic, the twinklets of Princess Swirly herself, who at this time was 724 years old, and preparing to ascend to the throne of Fairyland, following on from her mother, Queen Luna, who was getting too old to rule anymore, and close to retirement after having been on the throne since her coronation 850 years ago. She was 1400 years old, meaning she first became queen at the age of 550. This would have made her 673 when she gave birth to her royal fairness, the Princess Swirly, whose own twinklets, the Prince Sonic and Princess Cosmic, were still classed as newborns at the ages of 3 and 5 respectively. Illyria knew that once Swirly was crowned Fairyland's new queen, She might need to leave the palace and return to her studies, which she respected. "Illyria," called the princess. "Yes, Princess Swirly," replied Illyria. "I appreciate all you've done for my twinklers since you came to work here," she said. "And I appreciate you giving me this opportunity, Princess," replied Illyria. "However, it would be best for you to return to your studies. You do have 62 years left before you receive the twinkling. After all, I'll hire a permanent twinkle sitter for Sonic and Cosmic," Swirly told her. "I respect your wishes and will humbly obey your order, your fairness," said Illyria, giving her former twinklet sitter a curtsy before accepting her final wages, bidding farewell and leaving the palace. When she got home, she asked to chat with Sirius and Starla about her future. Focus on that when it happens, my Starlight Princess," Sirius told her. "Right now you're only a twinklescent and should focus on your studies and being a good fairy," Starla put in. "You're right, Mum and Dad. I am thinking too far ahead," agreed Illyria. Starla leaned in. "Your father and I were about your age when we first started dating. 451 to 455, if I recall," she told her. "We were not long past our own twinklings when we got married," Sirius told her. "And then 450 years ago, when you were born, we'd not long ago settled in here," Starla told her. "So that would have made you about 590, 600 when I was born," said Illyria. "We are both over 960 now, silly. 964 and 968 to be exact," Starla told her. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. There will be another one soon. Until then, thanks for watching and have a Semajical time. Hey guys, and welcome back to the Zediverse category of Semajical Story Time. So we're getting now to the second story of this collection of stories, and that shall be Whirlwind Rises, a sequel to Chromosome Z. 1 year ago, siblings Ella and Oliver Branston realized they had special powers thanks to Chromosome Z, the mysterious extra chromosome they were both born with. As we know, Ella can fly and Oliver can travel through time due to fits. In the year that has passed since their first adventure, they've adopted hero names, the Human Plane for Ella and Chrono for Oliver, and they are very happy. Let's see what they're up to now. It was now 2002, and brother and sister Ella and Oliver Branston, or the Human Plane and Chrono as they'd come to be called over the past year, were hard at work stopping crime in the city. It was very difficult for them to do this, considering they were only 8 and 10-year-old children, and should have been in school. Chrono had hold of one criminal, whilst the human plane soared overhead with the other two. Once she'd landed, they turned them over to the police, who thanked them and took the criminals away. I think that's our job here done, Chrono, said the human plane. I agree, human plane, replied Chrono. In the past year, Chrono had learned to control his power, allowing him to choose how far to go in time and in which direction he wanted to travel. And the human plane had learned that she could cause any road, pavement, or driveway, so that she could use any road, pavement, or driveway as a runway for takeoff like a proper plane, using her nose as a propeller and her arms as wings and blades. Now protruded either side of her nose. They both resumed their civilian forms and went to school. Oliver attended Waydawn School, just down the road, so he got there just shy of receiving detention for being nearly 30 minutes late, and instead only had to fill out a tardy slip. Once Ella arrived at her school, Cresswell, she wasn't so lucky, as she was given 2 weeks of after-school detentions and would have to take a letter home as well. I overslept, she kept trying to tell her English teacher, Mrs. Bryan, who was having none of it. Meanwhile, during the morning break at Waydawn, Oliver was enjoying a quiet, relaxing time when he felt it starting to get cold and windy. Very windy, as a matter of fact, as he noticed a whirlwind heading their way. "Whirlwind!" he shouted, alerting the whole playground. At the moment he ran off, alerting everyone, a new pupil floated down from the sky, spinning like a whirlwind. As soon as he stopped and stood still, everything brightened up again. He reassumed his civilian form instantly. This boy's name was Jack O'Horn, and he didn't know it yet, but he too possessed the special chromosome, and this was his power. Oliver noticed it and straight away went to meet him. After introducing himself to Jack, he told him the reason for his ability to generate whirlwinds at will was that he possessed the extra chromosome which caused mutations and manifests the ability. Chromosome Z. Me and my sister have it too. And it's great, he whispered. What can you do? Asked Jack. Well, my sister can fly and I can travel through time, Oliver told him quietly. He then proceeded to tell Jack he needed a hero name, and based on his ability to generate whirlwinds, Oliver dubbed him Whirlwind. Whirlwind, eh? I like that, whispered Jack. After the excitement of meeting another Zedder, Oliver agreed to be Jack's welcome buddy for the week and helped him get settled. That afternoon, Oliver took Jack to meet Ella, and they all powered up into their Zedder forms, the human plane, Chrono, and Whirlwind, as there were more criminals around. The human plane and Whirlwind took to the sky to do their bit from above, while Chrono tapped into his ability and travelled 20 minutes into the future for 5 minutes to see what they were targeting. I see, so they're going to strike the bank, he said before popping back to his own time and rushing to the bank to help apprehend the robbers before they could commit their robbery. He got there with only 5 seconds to spare before they turned up. This is no time for games, freak. Get out of the way, said the leader. Oh, I don't think so, robbers. "You're not going to rob this bank today," Chrono shouted at them, before a perfectly timed whirlwind blew them off their feet, and another perfectly timed wind from above, from a passing aeroplane, blew their swag bags off the ground and chucked them at the police station. "What the—" said the robbers, stunned as the human plane landed next to Chrono and Whirlwind, picked up the criminals and blew them to the nearest police officers, who arrested them on the spot. Whirlwind gently floated down and landed next to the human plane, and they all reassumed their civilian forms. "That was a mad storm," said Ella. "Did you see it take those would-be robbers away?" asked Oliver. "Yeah, that was awesome," replied Jack. As they made their way home, Ella whispered to Oliver, "Quick thinking on your part, bro. Tapping into your time travel ability to go and see where those robbers were going to strike," winking at him. And so ends Whirlwind Rises, and ends this episode of Semajical Story Time. If you like this video, if you enjoyed this video even, please like, comment, share, and, of course, subscribe. Until then, thanks for watching and have a magical time. Hey guys, and welcome to a new segment for some magical story time. I thought I'd do the Lana Spark stories as part of this as well, so let's get on to the first story in that segment, which is of course the beginning. The birth, 2488. It was a very happy day for Rick and Harriet Sparks, as their baby daughter Lana had just been born at 3:30 in the morning of the 30th of April, and they loved her to pieces. They knew she was going to be really special, but they didn't know just how special yet. They brought her home the next day and were very pleased to have their firstborn child home at last. An hour later, her grandparents from both sides came to see her, and they absolutely adored her. Grandad Fred Sparks was Rick's father. He was 69 years old and the chief of the Intergalactic Police. Grandma Wendy Sparks was his mother. She was 65 years old and a chemistry professor at the University of the Milky Way. Grandad Max Stevens was Harriet's father. He was 63 years old and an extraterrestrial biologist for Outwardly Science Corporation. And Grandma Florence Stevens was her mother. She was 60 years old and CEO of MidCorp. Rick was 33 years old and a space explorer with Extro Space Corporation. And Harriet was 28 years old and a sparamedic of Mars General Hospital. Sparamedic of Mars General Hospital. They'd both taken family leave to look after Lana, which was more important right now. Big Sister Lana, 2491. 3 years ago, Lana Sparks was born to Rick and Harriet Sparks, and was now a big sister, as they'd not long ago had a son named Tyler, her new baby brother, and she loved him so much. Of course, at just 3 years old, she was too young to help take care of him. Rick and Harriet have roped in their younger siblings for help caring for him and Lana. Victoria Sparks was Rick's younger sister, 29 years old, and a caregiver at Saturn Nursery School and Daycare Centre. Adam Stevens was Harriet's younger brother, 25 years old, and a teaching assistant at Neptune Beach High School. It could also be difficult managing Lana whilst tending to Tyler as well, so their Auntie Victoria and Uncle Adam have been called in to help out. First day of school, 2493. It was Lana's first day of school, and she couldn't wait to go in. She was going to be attending Comet and Asteroid Primary School for the next 6 years, and she was looking forward to it. It wasn't long before Rick and Harriet were dropping her off at the Comet and Asteroid Primary School, and watched proudly as she entered the classroom and met her teacher, Mrs. Olivia Cosmica. And she was very friendly. Soon after she'd kissed Rick and Harriet goodbye, she made her first friend. Her classmate Richard Supernova was the first child to ever befriend her, and she was very happy as no children at Saturn Nursery School wanted to be her friends. Because of this, she knew her school years were going to be some of the happiest she'd ever have. And that was the first story in the Lana Sparks section of Semajical Story Time. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Until next time, have a Semajical time. Hey guys, and welcome back to the Amazing World anthology segment of Semajical Story Time. It's now time to get into the next one of these stories, bless me, which will be Don't Mess With Time. Max Walker had just turned 18 years old and received a new pocket time observer for his birthday as a commemorative gift. Upon receiving it, his grandfather, Professor Walker, warned him not to actually mess with time. This device is only for observation of history and no more. You must promise me you'll only use it to pop back for a few minutes for that reason, he urged him. Yes, Grandad, I will only use this machine for observation only, Max promised. Professor Walker was satisfied and showed him how to use the cloak mode he'd fitted it with, which was to be activated at all times while he was back in time, so he couldn't interact with anyone or anything in the time periods he chose to visit. Once he'd learned how to protect himself and history from tampering, he decided to take a test trip, so he cloaked himself, set the date for the 30th of June 2032, and was there in an instant observing his great-grandparents' first meeting. He watched as they met, became friends before moving ahead to the 4th of September 2034 to observe them getting married. Through this observation, that he learned that his great-grandmother's maiden name was Turner. He then moved ahead to observe the birth of his own grandfather, Simon Walker, on the 3rd of December 2052, before moving ahead to observe an 11-year-old Simon starting Sherlock's in September 2064, and being chosen for Collindore House. After that, he moved ahead 5 more years to October 2069, where he observed Simon, a school prefect, disciplining 2 first-year students for wandering the corridors without passes. He also observed the start of a relationship between Simon and Rachel Jordan, his future grandmother. He then moved ahead 4 more years and 10 months to July 2073, where he observed the wedding of Simon and Rachel. He then moved ahead another 12 years to observe the birth of, that should be his own father, Kingsley, in 2085, and then moved ahead to 2089 and observed the birth of Olivia Freeman, his future mother. He then moved ahead another 19 years to observe his parents' wedding in 2108. He then moved ahead to observe his own birth in 2114, before hitting the home button and uncloaking himself, his 18th birthday in the present timeline of the 24th of August 2132, and it was a great day. And I hope you thought that was a great story, because if you did, please like, comment, share and subscribe. There will be another one soon, but until then, thanks for watching and have some magical time. Hey guys, and welcome to the second episode of the Tales from Animalia category or segment of Semajical Story Time, where it's now time to get into the next of these stories, which is Shark Shocked. Adam Barnsley had lived in Animalia for 10 years, and in that time had not only started living with Leah Tallensmere full time, but was also now married to her, and they had a child together, their daughter Sophie Barnsley Tallensmere, and they loved her very much. He was currently out conducting business in the Aqua Nations with his companion Edward Pufferton, a friendly pufferfish who had been doing the job as a nationwide salesman for 9 years and was training Adam in this fine trade, as he was new to this line of work, and this was his first week on the job. They were going door to door in Finland and had been politely declined by 14 Finlanders in the process. Just as they were getting ready to move on to the Dominican Republic, they were ambushed by a gang of sharks who robbed them of their account books and threatened to kill Adam. if he ever went there. "Oh, no you don't!" yelled a voice from across the ocean. It was Finley Jones, the newest human liaison officer, a friendly young shark who helped Hepwood take Adam back to the safety of the human liaison office and told them what had happened. Leah flew down from a perch on the ceiling and landed next to Adam. "I knew this job was too dangerous for my darling husband," she said out of shock. Adam was too shocked to speak, and could barely stand either, so they sat him down to steady his wobbles, and gave a drink of sparkling spring from the calming fountain. When King Leo saw what the sharks in Finland had done to Adam, he was furious and sent a team of police sharks to go out there and arrest the sharks responsible for the crime. He then turned to Leah. "Leah, Beverly Beaverton is going to help you get Adam home, and once there, you'd better get him to bed," he ordered. Leah bowed. "Yes, Your Majesty," she replied. And both she and Beverly Beaverton, one of the beavers who worked for the human liaison team, took Adam home and put him to bed. While they were doing this, the Animalia police dropped Sophie home. "What's going on, Mummy?" she asked when she saw her father being tucked into bed. "Officer Growley," the police bear, took her to one side. "Your daddy is in a state of shark shock, sweetie," he told her gently. "What's shark shock?" asked Sophie. WPC Spikes, the police hedgehog, came down to her eye level. "Sophie, shark shock is what happens when someone is attacked by sharks, and it makes them go catatonic," she told her gently. "He'll be fine by morning, little dear," said a friendly voice. It was Alpheus Trumpton, the elephant who now headed the human liaison office. "Mr. Trumpton," said Sophie, who saluted him. Leah picked Sophie up. "Come on, darling, let's leave Daddy to rest now." She approached the officers. "Thank you for bringing her back, officers," she said appreciatively. "Not a problem, Leah. She was as good as gold," replied Officer Growley. She turned to Alpheus. "And thank you, Mr. Trumpton, for coming to check on us," she said to him appreciatively. "Anything for my #1 employee and her family," replied Alpheus. To show her appreciation, Leah invited Alpheus and the police to stop for coffee and made Sophie some juice, and they went into the lounge and relaxed. That's it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment, share and subscribe. And until next time, thanks for watching and have a Semajical time. Hey guys, and welcome to the start of yet another brand new segment of Semajical Story Time. And this is for the story series The Oldest Man. I know you should know now why these have to be started. So obviously the first story in this series has the same title as the overall series. So let's get on with it. Where do I begin? Of course, I need to introduce myself. How silly of me. My name's Milton Keynes, and I live at the Sunny Acres Retirement Home in Lakeview Terrace. It is a very nice place to live once you've lived to a ripe old age, if you can call it that in my case. I'll let you decide for yourselves in just a few minutes. But first I want to tell you how nice the care staff are to everyone here. The care staff in this home are some of the loveliest and most energetic young people you could ever hope to meet. The other residents are also very friendly and easygoing, unless they're upset, of course. Most residents here are 70, 80, 90, 100, etc. The oldest after me is 119 years old, and he's just had his birthday. You think that's amazing? Prepare to be amazed as I now reveal my birth date to be the 21st of February 1854, and first came to this home when I was 68 in 1922. Which means if you do the maths, you've already worked out how old I am. I'm currently 164 and will turn 165 in 3 weeks, and 3 days to be exact. Yes, I am what you might call ancient in terms of my age, and like you, I have no idea how I have managed to live this long. I've even baffled doctors and dentists with this amazing long life. How has this man been able to live for more than 160 years with no major health issues whatsoever, is the question they all ask themselves every day. 3 weeks have now passed, and it's my 165th birthday. It is a massive celebration, considering no human being has ever lived to this age before. Heck, I now break the world record for the oldest man in recorded history, which is something I ought to have done upon turning 123, considering that no one had ever reached that age until I came along, having reached it in 1977. I may have lived to the ripe old age of 165, but I have no idea how much longer I'll be alive. So that was the first story of the Oldest Man series. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching and have a Semajical time. Hey guys, and welcome to another installment in the Destinyverse for the Semajical Story Time. Our 13th installment, as a matter of fact, overall. But it's the 8th story in the mainline series, so that makes it Destiny 8. London, 1946. It was a crisp September morning in the Ball household, and Destiny was helping Crystal to get Lily up and ready for school, but they were both having a hard time, because she was refusing to move from her bed. "You are being very naughty this morning, Lily. We are not having this from you, do you understand?" Destiny scolded. "If you're not up in 5 minutes, you won't be going to Ali's party," Crystal scolded. At the prospect of being grounded from attending her friend's party, Lily was up and ready like a gunshot. I don't want to be grounded, she said to herself, wolfed down her breakfast, cleaned her teeth, apologized to Destiny and Crystal for her behavior, before kissing them goodbye and rushing off to school. An hour later, Destiny was out doing her grocery shopping when she ran into her old friend Kyle Stetson, who was out with his wife Deborah, with their eldest son Bobby, who were out buying birthday gifts for Bobby's daughter Peach, who was turning 6 in a few days. She stopped to talk to them for 5 minutes. As she got back to her shopping, she saw Dennis and stopped to chat with him for a bit. Afterwards, she finished her shopping and went home to pack it away. I am so proud to have such a loving and supportive family. Lily's just a child, but I'm proud of her. I'm proud to have her as a granddaughter, she said to herself. That evening, the whole family were all there and having a wonderful time together. Destiny was sitting there cuddling Lily like a toddler. But Lily loved being treated that way. Crystal shook her head. Lily, you're 8 years old, for heaven's sake. Surely you don't like being treated like a 2-year-old, she said with a laugh. I'm just getting one of Gran's special cuddles, Mother, replied Lily. Crystal gazed at her daughter. Destiny looked back at her. Crystal, there's nothing strange about me giving Lily a cuddle, she said firmly. I never said there was, Mother. But there's cuddling her, and there's wrapping her in a baby blanket and rocking her on your knee, replied Crystal. Destiny gave her the old, don't take that tone look. Don't you take that tone with me, or you'll go over my knee, young lady, she scolded, making Lily laugh. I'm too old for that, said Crystal. Nonsense, you're never too old to go over your mother's knee, replied Destiny. Lily wagged her finger. Naughty Mummy, you should know how to set examples for your little girl. That's me, by the way, she scolded. Destiny was shocked. My goodness, Lily, parenting your own mother, are you? You're just a child, she said. Sometimes I have to, replied Lily. And that was Destiny 8. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Join me next time for another story, but until then, if you enjoyed this video, thanks for watching and have a Semajical time. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Welcome to Toy World. Obviously it's by me. It was a child's dream to go on an adventure with his or her toys, and one child in particular was going to get his wish. The boy's name was Rex Finbar. He was 6 years old, and he was looking through his toy box for his remote-controlled helicopter, but he couldn't find it. As he removed toy after toy from the box, he started to see into the depths a bit more, until he'd emptied the entire box and found himself standing in the brambles of a clearing, which he carefully moved away from to find himself standing in a woodland area. "What is this place?" he asked himself. As he walked around the woods, he met his 3-year-old sister Daisy, who had entered through her own toy box. "Where are we, Rex?" she asked him. "I don't know, Daisy." "It's some sort of wood," replied Rex. As the siblings continued to look around, they saw 3 unusual things in very quick succession. The first thing was a literal teddy bear's picnic, with about 30 teddy bears in attendance, all from the same family. The second thing was a nature trail with a class of what appeared to be a group of school-aged children, who looked at least 8 years old. They were being led around by a ranger, a modern police action figure, and chaperoned by their teacher, a grown-up doll who was 25 years old, or so she appeared. "Stay close, children," she called out to them. The third and final thing was a group of teenage action figures having a dirt bike race. "Keep hold of my hand, Daisy," Rex told Daisy as they exited the woods and entered the fresh open air of a busy city, crowded with busy toys of all sorts bustling about. They were amazed by what they saw as they observed quite a bit more of their surroundings. A bright red plastic convertible shot past them, chased not far behind by a plastic police cruiser. Just opposite them stood an antique shop, which, according to its sign, was a home for antique toys. At that point, a model crossing guard came to help them across the road. "What are your names, young humans?" he asked them. "My name's Rex Finbar, and this is my sister Daisy." "It's nice to meet you," said Rex. "Likewise, Rex and Daisy Finbar," replied the crossing guard, shaking their hands. "Roy is the name. Roy Robertson," he told them. His name made sense to Rex and Daisy, considering he was made of rubber. "Welcome to Toy World," said Roy. "So, is the sign on the front of this antique shop accurate?" asked Rex. "It certainly is, young Rex. We are indeed standing outside the Toy World home for antique toys," Roy told them proudly. "At what age is a toy considered antique?" asked Rex. "Any toy that is at least 100 years old is considered an antique. The oldest resident is a Victorian teddy bear named Vicky, and she is currently 253 years old." Roy told them. After a while, a friendly family of plushies offered them a place to stay while they were there. The Polycotton family, a family of 5 plushies made out of polyester and cotton. The father was Adam, a systems analyst made of polyester. His wife was Evelyn, a housewife made out of cotton, and their children were Owen and Marie, twin brother and sister, both made out of mixed materials due to a mix of their parents' material codes. They were very happy to have 2 human children in their care, but one question remains. How are they going to feed them? As humans don't eat plastic and rubber foods. At that moment, Marie had an idea. "We have a whole human district that has places that best suit their needs for food," she suggested. It was settled, and Adam ordered in some food from their human district so Rex and Daisy could eat and drink, as they would not be able to drink liquid wax and paint from the tap. Within the next day, Rex and Daisy were introduced to the whole of Toy World. and were welcomed warmly. This was the first episode of the Toy World category of Semajical Story Time. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Until next time, thanks for watching and have a Semajical time.